Alright. Hello everybody. My name is Tad Brock. I am the founder of Auteur Independent Films. I'm here with Jamara Forbes and Darryl Ayles, the founders of Orange Hat Film Productions, and we're just going to have a little fun today. I thought we would do a little video, a little promo. Basically, talking about our interests. I mean, we're all filmmakers, right? So obviously, I thought it would be a good idea to kind of just talk about our influences and go by what movies that we really enjoyed, and what movies inspired us and influenced us, and kind of go by genre, by each. So I'll basically lead the conversation, and we'll go genre by genre and just kind of discuss some of our favorite films. That being said, let's start with our first genre, which is drama.
Exciting.
I will start. I will say that my pick for my favorite drama movie is Good Will Hunting.
Ooh, that was up there for me for sure.
It's definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a movie that I watch all the time to kind of perk myself up. It's just a feel-good movie.
By the end.
Yeah, by the end, that's true.
There's some low points.
It's hands down Robin Williams' best performance. I love his character in that movie.
It's heartwarming.
It's just
heart-wrenching.
and it's a good story about like intelligence and like how people go about it. Like you have some characters that are like think they're better than everybody else because they got some college degree or some shit. And then you got kind of people who are more humble. And then you got kind of people who don't even know what they're doing with their intelligence. I'm not quite sure about it. And it's just a great movie, and I really like the fact that like it's kind of hard to believe that that was Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's like first time writing a screenplay, because it's such a perfect film. But I guess when you like put that much time and effort into it, you can knock out something that's just
If my
perfect.
first screenplay was cast that incredibly, I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So yeah, that was my favorite drama. Let's go to you, Jamara. What was your pick for a drama movie?
Alright, so I think if I had to pick a favorite, it's a toss-up. There's a lot of movies where I can rewatch them and never get sick of them. I think favorite drama for me is gonna have to go to Little Miss Sunshine.
Ooh, interesting.
It touches on a lot of kind of the family dynamic and like how appearance plays a role as you're growing up, and kind of how that impacts your self-image. And there's a lot going on with all of the characters, and they really
there's a lot of good actors in that movie too.
Yeah.
Like Abigail Breslin was really good as a
Paul
child
Dano.
actor. Yeah. Steve Carell.
Was
that his first like serious movie, or did he do any dramas before that? Like he was mostly a comedian before that, right? With like 40-Year-Old Virgin.
I don't know the order of his filmography. I'd be interested.
Yeah,
I couldn't peg it.
He's kind of like an Adam Sandler. Like I know what was earlier, I know what was later, but I don't know all the stuff in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one for me was definitely one that really impacted me. I watched it and I had to sit with it for like a week. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That was a really feel-good movie. But I do have two runners-up.
We'll go over runner-ups.
Okay.
Yeah. Darryl, what was your pick for drama?
I kind of lean. I mean, it's a touch sci-fi as well, but I think it's the least sci-fi of any of the dramas that I really like. And it's a ghost story.
Ooh.
Yeah, because the root of it is like super drama, so
Really?
I kind of leaned that way. But yeah, regardless, it's nice and short. It's, I believe, under 90 minutes, and it's really like fast. It's slow. It takes its time. It's like, I don't know. It's just a really beautiful film, and
Very simply made too. Like it's just a guy in a sheet, and like, I mean, it gets.
It sounds simple,
yeah.
yeah,
It sounds
exactly.
simple,
but like, yeah, the execution of it all is, I think, like really masterful, and definitely like a precursor to Green Knight in a lot of ways for David Lowery.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just really, really was taken by that film. And yeah, few have ever kind of surpassed it in my ratings. So yeah, I thought that was pretty deserving of the spot for me.
Totally. So yeah, we can also go over our runner-ups now. For me, my runner-ups were Whiplash and The Green Mile.
Ooh.
I also really like those movies.
Whiplash is a great one.
Yeah, it is, and it's great J.K. Simmons performance. But,
Yeah.
What about you? What were your runners-ups?
My runners-up were Pleasantville.
Oh, good
Which,
one.
I mean, Pleasantville. And Superbad.
Oh.
Which, I mean, is kind of a comedy, is also kind of like, I don't know, it kind of fit into a few different, like, there's some romance, there's a little bit of everything, but
Yeah.
one of those ones that...
That's the thing, right? Genres are, like, it's very hard to
Yeah.
find one that, like, fits into one perfect thing.
Yeah, I think
so
that
much.
the dramatic performances in that movie were pretty spot on for what they needed to be.
What about you, Darryl? You got any runner-ups or honorable mentions?
I mean, a lot of mine like touch into different genres, like you're saying. Like there was a lot of thought of like maybe like Parasite, but that's kind of like a suspense thriller at points and kind of like a heist film in a weird way.
Yeah.
And then yeah, a lot of sci-fi ones that kind of edged on that, but I think I'll probably have a lot more backups for sci-fi.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in that case, let's move on to our next category, our next genre, which is comedy. Jamara, you start this one off.
All right.
What was your pick for comedy?
Shoot. It's tough. Like, but that one... I'm gonna have to go with Mean Girls. I'm gonna have to choose Mean Girls.
You know
guys.
what's crazy? That's my pick too.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be, and like, I do have some runners up, but like out of the three of them, that's the one. That's the winner. That's the it's the script. It's
such a solid script.
Performances. It's the costuming, the plastic, the everything about it.
And it's a great kind of like peek into high school life, or a very not quite nostalgic look at high school life, or kind of exaggerated.
Yes.
Like, I'm pretty sure I've told you guys this before. We had kind of a burn book scenario happen at my high school. It was more of an online thing, but like, yeah, I don't know. And it's also like the cliques and different things.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it was the same as my high school. Is like everybody in the cafeteria sat with their clique, and it's insanely quotable movie. See, that's how I like to judge comedies, is whether or not like the lines are like really quotable or like memorable kind of things. It really does all kind of come down to the script. What about you, Darryl?
I mean, you probably, if he was picking Mean Girls, should have went with Superbad as like, because I feel like that was very deserving of yours, because I kind of didn't pick Superbad because I thought you were gonna pick Superbad. So now I'm in a weird position in that way. But yeah, I think for me, it was always going to be Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh yeah. If you didn't say that, I was going to say, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, no, I mean, like,
missed.
there's a lot of movies around that, like Goon, and there's a couple of others that are like really high up, like Get 'Em to the Greek maybe. But yeah, no, it always comes back to Hot Tub Time Machine for me. It's a very, specifically for me, like very perfect in a way film. I think I see like way more in it than a lot of people tend to. Yeah. And not only that, it's just like the non-director's cut, like the theatrical cut, I find it so repeatably watchable. Like again, like a lot of the lines are funny, and like while a few of them haven't aged too well, I think for a movie in the time that it was made, it was nowhere near as rough or bad or aged as well as like that kind of edgy time period. So yeah, no, for a lot of reasons it stands up for me, and yeah, I love my Hot Tub Time Machine.
Nice.
All right. For runner-ups, I had School of Rock and Deadpool.
Of course.
Yeah, it's kind of obvious. It's strange that Deadpool's not my first, but again, it's incredibly quotable movie. So,
it is.
Same with School of Rock with the stick it to the manliosis.
My runners-up for comedy are Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe, because Oh, it's so funny. The last line, all the lines in between, it's a good one. Easy A, also.
That's a good one. Not a lot of people talk about that one.
That one I definitely rewatched way too many times.
Another kind of interesting peek into high school life and stuff like that. Yeah, do you have any runner-ups, or did you kind of go over?
Yeah, like besides the ones I mentioned before, I was kind of leaning I Love You Man, just because like that was, I don't rewatch it as much, but something about that, like just when you say quotable, like that movie's up there for me, like really high up there, so I'd give it an honorable mention for sure.
Okay, cool. Our next category, romance. Yeah.
Is there rom-com or is
Nope.
romance in this?
Rom-com,
Okay,
romance,
cool.
either one. It can
Because
be.
I don't really watch just romance movies.
Yeah. Do you want to start this one, Darryl?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you guys both know what I'm going to pick because recently it just, like, took the cake for me. No, you know what? I'll leave that for an honorable mention. I've ranted to you guys about that. I'm going to switch it up and say A Knight's Tale.
Oh, okay.
Because I think at the core that is a romantic comedy. It does all the tropes, but actually swaps it so it's kind of female. Like, it's not the most high-level swap of all time, but yeah, at its core, I think, like, if anything, like, it's a romance between him and, like, chivalry.
Yeah.
Like, him and, like, if you want to be like that. But no, it is a core, like, there's a whole, like, musical number devoted to it, and, like, love's at the center of it. And, yeah, I'll mention the other honorable mentions.
Okay.
Just to mess with you guys.
The performances also are great in that movie.
Yeah,
we
Heath
got to
Ledger,
shout out to and Paul Bettany.
Yeah, and Alan Tudyk.
Yep.
And,
Great cast.
Oh, yeah.
Great cast. My romance, my favorite movie I picked was The Princess Bride. It's such a sappy movie, but I love it so much, and it like embraces its sap. And I love it's a very quotable movie. It's got great characters. The romance between Wesley and Princess Buttercup is just like so stock, but also so sweet. Like the when you first meet him and he just as you wish. It's just gets me right there, you know. But it's also like it's got a little bit for everyone, you know, because it's got a little bit of action, adventure. Like it's one of those movies that like everybody I talk to, they're always like, "Oh, that's a chick flick," and it's like, yeah, but it's a really good chick flick. Like, so yeah, I'm gonna go with The Princess Bride as my pick. I love that movie.
Nice.
It's a classic, and I even love the framing device. The old man telling his son the story with little Fred Savage. What about you, Jamara?
So this one, yeah, it's a story about romance. It's not romantic. It's
Okay.
Midsummer.
Okay.
Whoa.
Interesting.
That was a choice.
Ooh.
I was trying to think of movies that like really revolved around the ideas of romance and relationships, and there's
very
definitely there's definitely some movies that fall into that romantic comedy. Sorry, I didn't
No, I
romantic
don't care.
comedy kind of realm, but this one I feel like is more strictly like a dissection of relationships and really gets to the core of like who is this girl and what does she want out of her life and does she really need a boyfriend, and it's very deep if you look at it as on a romantic level.
Yeah, with a cult.
Yeah.
Okay, runner-ups. I had Scott Pilgrim versus the World, also a romance, and Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
That's a great one.
I love that one.
Jerry Maguire for me.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's the
good
one.
one.
I thought I was gonna
Okay.
choose. Yeah, Jerry Maguire's friggin' awesome. It's it's way better than I thought it was. My parents liked it a lot, and I remember seeing it a few times as a kid. But yeah, as an adult seeing it now, it's pretty dang decent, man.
It does hold up very well.
Yeah, Giannis Kaminsky shot the crap out of it, and I see why people went crazy for it at the time because like some movies have that quotable line, and this one has like 4 of them.
Some of them are like huge in the public. Like I just rewatched it recently too, and I was surprised how many were like, "That's what that movie's from."
Yeah, exactly.
Like
I totally forgot the "You Complete Me" or no, "You Had Me" at whatever. Yeah. That was the one that I was like, oh, they've already got all the quotes out of the way now, and hit me at the end.
Yeah. What about you, Jamara? Any runner-ups?
Runner-up for me is The Girl Next Door. With
but
interesting.
It's about
I want to remake that.
like high school guy meets high school girl, and then things get wild. Things get really wild, and pornos, and it's a good one.
Learn to like it, bro.
But yeah, great romantic tale. For sure.
Yeah. I love Alicia Cuthbert. She's a beauty.
Yeah.
Real beauty.
They do play that, like, it was advertised so much like, oh yeah, Oggle Fest, and then the movie's actually, like, very, like, I mean, it looks at the porn industry in a kind of weird light, but at the time, I don't think they could have done it any other way. But regardless, like, it's a very empowering movie for her, and, like, getting over all that, and, like, I like that was the end result of what, because, it was not advertised well at all.
No.
It was like American Pie stuff. But really love the end result. I'm glad you picked that. That's a good choice.
All right. Our next category, our next genre is action/adventure. My favorite movie of that, Mad Max Fury Road. Love that movie.
It's like the definition of action and adventure.
Exactly. Like every time I watch that movie, it feels like you've just injected me with like an adrenaline shot. Like it's so good, and they just don't make movies like that very often. Where it's like there wasn't really much of a script. It was all told with storyboards and visually, and the acting. Oh my God, Charlize Theron! I can't wait for the Furiosa spin-off that's coming up. Even though apparently she's not going to be in it.
Anna Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, but even then, it's still directed by George Miller, and like it's gonna. I love that movie. It's so fast and beautiful. Like the colors just pop,
Oh my gosh.
and the action scenes are amazing, and I just can't get enough of it. Like I watch it like at least once a year. It's such a good movie.
It's gorgeous.
Darryl, how about you? Let's go. Action adventure.
I actually don't have my answer for this one ready because my answer was Mad Max. So
that's fine
if
too.
you want to fill for a sec, I can definitely think of another, but like I did not think anyone else was going to choose it. So.
No, Mad Max Fury Road is great. So if that's your pick as well, like that's perfectly fine. All right, then Jamara, what about you?
Action adventure. Gonna have to go with The Dark Knight.
Okay.
It has some action. It's not. Yeah, it has some adventure.
It's an action adventure. It totally is. Yeah.
I mean, 2008, me in the theaters, like that movie changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, it was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Also changed superhero cinema, which is a
absolutely
big thing. Like now superheroes are as big as they are, and it's mostly due to that movie. Like,
yeah.
It showed the potential, right? And Heath Ledger, last performance, amazing. Great show.
I'll go Inception then.
Okay.
Because now that you say that, everything else I think still
It's
bleeds.
an adventure, all right.
Yeah. So that I feel like Dream isn't a category. So I'll just. I mean, I think everybody loves Inception. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend seeing it, and I won't spoil it because it's worth seeing. Like even all these years later, I still won't spoil it just in case.
Even if someone spoils it,
it's kind of a spoiler-proof movie.
Yeah.
Like,
you can't describe those
wouldn't
images to someone and have them picture it how it is in the movie.
I wouldn't like certain things being told to me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But particularly the ending, I would say. It's best to go in blind with that.
Yeah, exactly. So I love me some Inception.
My runner-ups were Unleashed and John Wick.
Oh yeah, I thought John Wick for sure.
Yeah. What about you guys?
For me, runner-up, it was such a tough choice between Dark Knight and this one, Moonrise Kingdom.
Okay.
So very much an adventure movie for me, but like from a child's perspective of like, let's go on an adventure, let's running away from home, and obviously Spring Breakers. What an adventure that is.
Okay,
Lots of action.
That's the category we're putting Spring Breakers in. Okay. Sounds good.
Kind of a drama. I don't really know where to put it.
Fair enough. Yeah. I feel
That's where it goes for me.
Fever Dream.
What about you, runners-up?
Yeah, you
Spring
got
Breakers.
Yeah.
44 caliber.
Hey.
Buy it online.
Yeah. Do it.
Mad Max.
Mad Max.
Yeah. Mad Max is like you got it. It's the best action movie hands down. It's perfect. Our next genre is fantasy. Jamara, start this one off. What's your favorite?
Okay,
Fantasy
so
movie.
this one, there's a lot of fantasy that kind of merges with sci-fi. So for me, fantasy is when it has like monsters or ghouls or something that like is completely made up, completely imagination.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like aliens and that sort of stuff, which is also kind of imagination. So I went with Harry Potter.
Okay. Like the
Either
whole
the first
series as
one-
whole, or
Either
just
the first one or the last one.
Okay.
But like, not number 5. Any of the other ones, just I hate Dolores Umbridge. So yeah,
No, that's a good one.
I
It's
love all
classic.
the fantasy. It makes me want to get my letter from Hogwarts. It's nostalgia, but also what a trip.
And good child actors too. Like I
Yeah.
think a lot of people miss the fact that like a lot of those actors were like doing really good performances for the first time in
Oh.
that first movie, and then they evolved as the movies went along.
Totally.
Darryl, what about you? Fantasy.
She picked mine again. Hey, let me go. Yeah, let me go first next time. No, it's okay. I mean, my honorable mention was going to be Lord of the Rings just because of the technical achievements, even though it's
Yeah.
not necessarily my favorite. But hey, if you're going to pick that, I'm just going to go with my Lord of the Rings backups. Not The Hobbit.
Not The Hobbit.
Not The Hobbits.
Not
48
The
frames isn't going to happen. Stop trying to make 48 frames happen.
Okay. My pick was Pan's Labyrinth.
That was
That's a good
definitely up there for me.
Yeah, I think it's such a perfect film. It's easily Guillermo del Toro's best film.
Yep.
I really love how engaging that script is. Like every time I watch it with somebody that is like usually not a fan of like foreign films and reading subtitles, they just get sucked right into it and you completely forget that you have to read it. The creatures are incredible and like everybody knows that
Oh,
creepy
yeah.
that thing, that stuff of nightmares, and it's also just a really good story about like a little girl just trying to cope with the fact that she's born and has to be raised in one of the worst time periods of history and dealing with all that kind of trauma and stuff.
Yeah.
And I love it. I can't get enough of that movie. My runner-ups, however, were Peach Dragon, the remake, not the original. I actually think the remake is better. And I Kill Giants, which is not a movie a lot of people hear of, but it's written by one of my favorite writers, Joe Kelly. He wrote one of my favorite runs on Deadpool, and it was a movie adapted from his graphic novel that he did, and it's awesome. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's also kind of the same as like Pan's Labyrinth, about a little girl using fantasy to kind of escape her problems of her world. But they do it in a different way, and I really enjoyed that.
What was that called?
I Kill Giants.
I Kill Giants. Cool.
Runner-ups.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
I used mine.
Fantasy runner-ups we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't quite sure. I have a lot of other ones that fit into sci-fi, so I stuck Star Wars here.
That's totally science
Yeah.
fantasy.
Star Wars 5 was definitely one of my runners-up.
Okay.
And also the OG Dune. That was a tough choice. I don't want that on repeat for the rest of my life, though. I definitely take Harry Potter over Dune. And as we were just talking, I was just thinking, The Green Knight is totally like a fantasy.
Yeah.
I wasn't even considering it until we were
Neither
talking
was
when
I.
you said fairy tale and kind of escape. I was like, no
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
no crap.
Green Knight's also a
Yeah.
good one. That just barely missed my list, honestly. If it
Such
wasn't
a
for the
good
fact
one,
that the
yeah.
other two are more personal to
Yep.
me. Yeah, okay, so let's go into the next one, which is probably going to be the best category for us. Science fiction. Darryl.
Blade Runner 2049.
Alright, Blade Runner.
Yes. It's just fantastic. It's the movie that got Deakins' Oscar. It's beautiful. It's better than the original.
I was just going to say, you liked it
And,
better than the original.
Yeah, it's just what a fantastic film. It really, I don't know. Go watch it. It speaks for itself.
great performances from Ryan Gosling
Yeah.
and Anna de Armas.
Oh, Anna
Yeah, no, it's a very, very good film. Very good film.
Yep.
What about you, Jamara?
It's a tough call, man. It's a tough call. I'm gonna have to say Interstellar.
Okay.
I think I could rewatch, like, the launch of them into space forever. 100%. Like, it's gorgeous. Like, whatever they did in camera, whatever they did, special effects, it blends so well.
Yeah.
My goodness, that is a gorgeous movie.
It is. It's really good. And also, like, a really good movie with, like, I think that's one of Matthew McConaughey's best performances.
It's
like,
a great one.
It's so good, and it's yeah, from a guy who was raised by a lot of farmers. It's a very interesting movie to watch.
Yep.
My pick was Back to the Future.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a classic. I love the characters. Doc Brown and Marty McFly are like so iconic. It doesn't hold up in terms of like the whole like being scientifically accurate. Not really. I don't think people just would fade out of existence if they went back in time and stopped their parents from meeting. But like I like I like everything else about it. I think that it's fine that they totally took some liberties with the science and did some different things, and it's just a perfect film. It's like a great comedy, again, very quotable. I also like kind of the story and the idea of like dealing with generations and like learning that your parents also kind of went through the same crap that you're going through.
Yeah.
And like I just love that film. It's one of my favorites. And who doesn't love the DeLorean? I mean, that's one of the coolest time machines of all time. So let's just go over our honorable mentions for sci-fi real quick. I had as my runner-ups WALL-E and Arrival. I love both of those movies.
Arrival.
Darryl?
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Stanley Kubrick. Classic.
That was the big competitor for me.
Sci-fi, I had a tough time deciding between The Matrix, because I desperately love The Matrix,
Classic.
and The Thing.
Ooh.
The OG The Thing.
It's
Good choices.
good choices indeed. Alright, so let's go into the next one, which is horror. I think we all love this genre, all three of us.
Yeah.
Jamara, why don't you start us off?
Oddly enough, I've seen a lot of great horror movies at the Highland Cinema. They often have 35mm print screenings of various old horror movies. One that really stuck with me was Black Christmas.
Okay.
I effing love that movie. Like, it was so creepy. It was like, I feel like it really contributed a lot to the horror genre. And
They don't make nearly as many horror movies during Christmas. I love that kind of dichotomy.
yeah, it blew my mind in a lot of ways that it was so well done when it was made.
Mm-hmm.
Very ingenuitive. Is that the word? Ingenious? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, innovative.
Innovative,
They were the ones
I
who
don't know.
started the whole trend. Like, I mean,
The slasher trend.
yeah. Canada.
Woo! I'll go next. My favorite movie was Oculus. Mike Flanagan.
Yeah.
Nothing is more scarier to me than not being able to trust your reality or your perception of reality, and that's basically what Oculus is it's like this evil mirror that makes people see hallucinations, and you're never quite sure what's real and what's not real. And great performances from Katie Sackhoff and Karen Gillan, who is a very underrated actress in my opinion. I think it's Mike Flanagan's best film, and he's also like kind of like the big horror movie director right now. So like, yeah, that's my pick. I love that movie. I highly recommend it. It's terrifying.
Definitely.
Darryl, what's your pick?
And I guess Mike Flanagan would agree with my pick because it's The Shining. So,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Fantastic film. It always really creeped me out as a kid, like a large amount. And then after reading the book, I liked the movie even more. I just like what it took and what it didn't take. And then, yeah, the adaptation that Flanagan did of Dr. Sleep was an amazing addition to, like, the collective,
Universe?
I don't know if you call it like that, but, like, just
Story-verse?
the collective tales that are the Shining stories right now. Because, yeah, it takes a bit of both, you know, so it's weird. But, yeah, love The Shining a lot. It's a killer film.
It's a great film.
Okay. My runner-ups for horror were The Thing. I love that movie. And Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Silence of the Lambs because you saw it on 35 for the first time in Highland.
So many.
Yeah.
What about you guys? You got any runner-ups for horror?
Lighthouse was close for mine because I
Ooh.
kind of like that section of horror, and I didn't think you guys were going to go there.
Totally.
Yeah.
But also Scream.
Like a
Scream fucked
psychological
me up as a
horror.
kid, and yeah, the OG is a fantastic film.
Oh, Scream.
Yeah. Meta horror.
My runners-up were Insidious because well done. I can't get enough of that movie. And Vicious Fun.
Hey!
Like,
shout
it's
out,
a new
yeah.
one by Black Fawn Films, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It was comedic, it was dramatic, it was unexpected, it was horror. It was great. It was gooey. It was awesome.
It was a great movie.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Comedy, yeah.
All right. Let's go into our next category, our next genre, which is biopic/historical. I'll start this one off. My favorite movie of biopic historical is The Founder. It's Michael Keaton. It's a movie about not the guy who invented McDonald's, that was the McDonald's brothers, but the guy who kind of took McDonald's and turned it into like the huge fast food juggernaut that it is. And it's an incredibly fascinating movie about greed and like having standards, because like a lot of the movie is about him fighting with the McDonald's brothers about like standards, about things of like, oh, you know, like let's have milkshakes that don't actually have milk in them, or like things like that. And like it's a really interesting movie about this birth of a fast food juggernaut and how it kind of changed the world.
Especially because, like, we know what it is today.
Well, that's the thing.
We have
Is like
that perspective.
you watch the movie and you kind of forget, like, oh man, before fast food, like you would drive up, you'd sit in your car for like 20 minutes waiting for your order, and then you'd like some girl on a rollerblade would come out and give you your food. And like McDonald's was kind of the people that changed the way that we view fast food in general. And like, it's such a fascinating movie. It's also one of my favorite Michael Keaton performance. Like, he is just the right amount of slimy, but also sympathetic, and I can't get enough of it. It's
I
one of my
honestly, I thought
favorites.
that movie was
Nice, Pluto.
I thought that movie was almost like he was the founder of McDonald's. Like, it was like the Steve Jobs and...
No,
But that's very interesting
it's
that he
very
kind of
different.
oversees and he's like just another player in the game at the beginning.
Well, it's a lot of like him screwing over the McBrothers, and like, yeah, it's a good one. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's on Netflix. Check it out.
Yeah.
Darryl, how about you? Biopic historical?
Yeah, I don't love the genre. It's definitely on the low end of my favorite genres, but I'll go Goon. Because it's definitely based on a true story, and it's more faithful than most biopics in a weird way. Because it changes some of the names of teams that he played for, but it's basically that story.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love it so much. The cinematography is incredible. The story is heartfelt, even though it's kind of like, I guess, a raunchy comedy. But like, yeah, I really love. It's also one of my favorite like sports films.
Yeah.
In general. So yeah.
Okay. Jamara, biopic historical.
Biopic historical. It's tough. I'm gonna have to go with Love and Mercy. I thought you were gonna choose Love and Mercy.
That's such a good choice.
It is a biopic of the Beach Boys.
Okay.
And Wilson, what's his first name?
Brian.
Brian Wilson is played by Paul Dano, and it's It's a great
John
performance.
Cusack also
Yes,
plays.
eventually John Cusack. But Paul Dano does majority of the film, and he has a soft spot for me. And all of the music in the movie is just
It's the
fantastic.
Beach Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also scored by Atticus Ross and
Okay.
whatever his name is, the two partners that do all those scores together. And yeah, it is phenomenal. I love that movie too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My runner-ups for biopic / historical were Catch Me If You Can and Can You Ever Forgive Me? I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It's Melissa McCarthy. She's doing a serious role, and she's incredible.
Okay.
Her whole thing is like she can write as other people, so she starts forging letters and like signatures and stuff like that, and because she's on hard times. It's a really interesting movie. I highly recommend that. What about you guys? Any runner-ups or honorable mentions?
Love and Mercy would be my runner.
Yeah.
That was an incredible film.
I also have a soft spot. This was a tough one. Love and Mercy just wins because it's the Beach Boys. But there's two biopics, one with Reese Witherspoon called Wild, and then one with, totally forget his name. Is it Emil Hirsch? Called Into the Wild.
Okay.
And it's about him on a bus in the middle of nowhere, and they're both kind of like...
Finding Yourself.
Yeah, Finding Yourself movies based on a true story, based on these people that, did do these things, and it's amazing how they were able to put you into their shoes and really get that point across and really tell that story really well in both cases.
I remembered a backup that
Okay,
I probably could have been my original had I remembered it in time. Dewey Cox, Walk Hard.
Hey.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. Incredible film. He inspired David Bowie. What else can you say?
Yeah.
All right. Our next category is musical. Jamara, why don't you start us off?
So funny you say what you just said, Darryl, because my favorite musical is Walk Hard.
No way.
Okay.
Dewey Cox. I love all of the original music in that movie. I love the performances. I love the... What is this cat doing?
Yeah, Cat's Wild.
Crazy.
Sorry for
Yeah.
the background noise, guys.
Yeah, so Dewey Cox is my favorite musical. And I love it. I sometimes sing those songs and then I realize, oh wait, Dewey Cox isn't, dare I say it? I don't, anyway. Those songs get stuck in my head very often, with good reason.
Okay. Darryl, what about you? Musical?
Baby Driver.
Hey, good one.
Yeah.
That's a very good one.
Yeah, upon rewatching it lately, it's way more of a musical than most musicals, and impeccably directed, and just because they're not breaking out in the song all the time, doesn't mean it's not what it is. And it's a immaculately made film. Can't say much else. It's my favorite Edgar Wright film. It's incredible.
Okay. My favorite movie for musical was Fantasia. I can't get enough of that movie. I love the artisticness of it, its animation, the different stories that are being told with classical music, and just the emotion, like the pure, raw emotion in some of the segments, like the dinosaur segment or the Night on Bald Mountain. Just awesome. I love that movie. It's one that I always kind of watch to mellow out. So I like it. My runner-ups, however, were Beauty and the Beast and Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins was so, it was up there for me too.
The sugar. This cat is going crazy.
Yeah, you say you don't have to say anything. You have to hear the noises you can make. I don't know if I really have a backup. Dewey Cox would probably be another backup. Again, musicals aren't my favorite genre. I'll say La La Land, I guess,
Okay.
even though I hate the way it ends. Like, the rest of the movie's still good enough. So yeah, songs are good.
Alright.
Same with me. I don't really watch a lot of musicals. I don't really have musicals as my backup, but what I did choose was School of Rock and Scott Pilgrim, which are both very music oriented, revolve around live music. which I enjoy.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one that we're going to get into is film noir. I'll start this one. My pick, obviously, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I think it's one of the best film noirs, hands down. Bob Hoskins is giving an incredible performance, and he's got like so much working against him, but he pulls it off. Like listening to him talk about how like difficult it is talking to nothing, or like even just focusing your eyes, because like you put your hand up and you focus on it, your eyes focus, but you like take it away, your eyes immediately focus to the next thing, and tricking your brain in order to like think that he's actually talking to a rabbit. Pioneered all kinds of technology, changed the way that we do animation. And not only that, it's the only movie where Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse will share the screen. It could never be made. Like, that is my childhood right there, and these two characters are talking to each other. They could never do that again nowadays. It's a movie that exists on its own. I love it. I think it's perfect. And it works as a great film noir, but it's also kind of like a criticism of film noir. Mm-hmm. Like, easily my favorite film noir movie.
Decent.
What about you, Darryl?
I'll go with Brick. It's Ryan Johnson's first outing. It's a neo-noir by all accounts, but I think it follows a more typical noir structure than most neo-noirs. It's not really trying to reinvent much with its structure. It's more just and I bet they probably wanted to even shoot in black and white. I bet you $100. But yes, regardless, great story, great first outing. It really feels a little bit rugged, but like a good old mystery. I really enjoy it.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool Brick.
What about you, Jamara?
Memento.
Ah, that was one of my runner-ups.
Yeah, Nolan's Memento. It is like all sorts of noir, and I love the mystery, and I love the whodunit.
Yeah.
It's a good whodunit.
And even just the editing, like how it works backwards.
Yes.
Like it tells a very interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great start for Christopher Nolan. Yeah, we'll get into runner-ups then, I guess. Mine was Memento and Bad Times at the El Royale.
Ooh. Yeah. What a pretty movie.
They are very pretty. What about you guys? Any runner-ups for film noir?
I mean, yeah, Double Indemnity was definitely up there
Yeah.
for a very classic noir. And then, yeah, that's where I also had Spring Breakers. So.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Neon noir.
Yes, the neon noir. Yeah, Double Indemnity is my runner-up, but when you said Bad Times at El Royale, it just reminded me, like, is Knives Out technically a noir, or is that a stretch?
I would say it's a mystery, but it could be a noir.
Okay.
It's a detective.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to say, but it could be a film noir, because it does kind of switch genres. Like, it starts off as a whodunit and turns into kind of more of a
I wonder where that would
mystery.
fall.
Yeah.
Could be a runner-up of mine if it falls.
It turns into a Who Tried to Done It.
Who tried to done it?
Yeah. All right. Let's go on to the next category, which is animation. Jamara, why don't you start us off?
My favorite animation, I have two, but I'm gonna have to go with Robin Hood, I think. Like,
Okay.
It's been my favorite for years and years and years, and I think as a kid I just really identified with him being a really solid dude, and like, why does the lion get to have all the money when everyone else can't eat the porridge, and like he just has to steal from the rich to give to the poor? And I was like, well, that's noble. I can get with that. Rewind. Let's watch it again. And then all of the songs.
Ooda lolly, golly, what a day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Love that movie. Good one. What about you, Darryl? Animation.
Yeah, I was gonna go Wall-E, but I think you mentioned it earlier. But
Sci-fi?
regardless, yeah, no, for me that's like definitely top tier animation. Anything that involves deacons is definitely up there.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I like how silent the movie is and how much it can do without words.
Yeah. Great little love story. We could have easily put that in romance too.
Mm.
My favorite movie, also from Pixar, Up.
Damn it.
I love that movie. There's no I don't know how that movie works. Like, can you imagine pitching that? Like, oh yeah, it's about an old guy and he teams up with a Boy Scout and they go to a land and Paradise Falls, where they make friends with a giant chicken and talking dogs. Like, I don't know who, like, it's such a great film, and like I said, like, it just shouldn't work, but it does. I love what they did with the talking dogs, because I think that trope is so tired, but the fact that it's like a collar that they wear around their neck and it's just reading their thoughts, and like, they talk like children, like, my name is Doug, I have just met you and I love you. Like, I love that film. It's one of my favorite movies. It makes me cry every time, especially that opening sequence.
Yeah, that's probably how they pitched the movie. They just showed somebody the opening and got $100 to make
Hundreds
whatever
of
else
right
they
in
wanted.
the
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, for my runner-ups, however, were The Iron Giant and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Good one. Good one.
Love those movies. What about you guys? Any runner-ups?
Secret of Nim.
Ooh, very good one.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Fantastic film.
Very dark.
Yeah, I
but,
love
like,
me some
also,
Don Bluth.
Yeah. Classic.
My runner-up was Pooh's Grand Adventure: The Search for Christopher Robin.
I love
Another classic that I could not get enough of. Like, once I learned how to work my VHS player, it was like, okay, we watched it, we're rewinding and we're watching it again, and like, I knew all the songs.
Yeah.
Love the moral of that. Pooh's getting over Christopher Robin starting school, so.
Yeah, doesn't he think like it's like a monster or something?
He does.
Like the school or something
The
like
skull.
that? The skull, yeah, that's it.
He's-
He's going to the skull.
He's got me abducted by the skull. At school. That's where he went.
That's a
anyway,
cute movie.
yeah.
Yeah. Alright, let's go into the next one, which is Western. I'll start it off. My favorite movie, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Damn.
Yeah, I actually
yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of that movie at first because like I didn't know it was an anthology film, and when they showed me the first segment, I loved it. I love the Buster Scruggs segments. I love this kind of like Bugs Bunny type of character who never starts the fights but always finishes them. And then it became an anthology film, and I was just like, what the heck? I wasn't expecting this. But rewatching it a couple more times, I do love the different short films. I love the one with James Franco. I love the one that's mostly silent about the gold digging. Yeah, it's just such a really well made film, and shows how incredible the Coen brothers are at doing different emotions. That can be comedy one minute, drama the next, and yeah, I love that movie. It's one of my favorite westerns, hands down.
Definitely.
So, what about you, Darryl?
Oh, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Hey,
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah, but it's the best, hands down. For me, I don't know. I was always raised on Clint Eastwood, but it was the one that by far took me like the most by surprise. And Sergio Leone's a god of that specific spaghetti genre. It was fantastic film.
Awesome.
Love it.
This was one for me that I really couldn't. I was racking my brain to think of like all the westerns I've seen, and I was like, yeah, 410 to Yuma, but I'm not really in love with it. It's just a western I've seen. So the best I could come up with was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because it's
Okay.
a film based on a western being made.
Yeah.
There's segments, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I could definitely probably pick a few points to argue that it is more western than it is, but that's the best I got.
Okay. Fair enough. My runner-ups for the western were The Quick and the Dead, a very interesting movie by Sam Raimi, and Django Unchained.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think
Jake
that's
was
Quentin
a good
Tarantino's best film,
Yeah.
personally. What about you guys? Any runner-ups?
True Grit, definitely
Ooh.
the Coen's version. And yeah, I can't really think of many others that really stuck with me off the top of my head. There's some John Wayne stuff, but nothing too specific.
Yeah, I was gonna say The Hateful Eight,
That's a good one.
but it's not really my, like, I don't want to watch that for eternity. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Fair enough. All right, we got two more categories
Okay.
left, so let's power through them. Sports film is our next category. Darryl, do you want to start this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with The Replacements. It's a
Ooh.
comedy, but I always loved The Replacements. It's a movie me and my parents always watched. And Keanu Reeves can't really do wrong. Supporting cast really pulls their weight. I totally forget what the British guy's name is who plays the kicker, but I always loved the performance he gives. And Gene Hackman, you know, being Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, the dance numbers in it is always what my mom loved. It's hilarious. But yeah, good old movie, especially because I used Goon otherwise. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Jamara? Sports film.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna have to go with Fired Up.
Okay.
It's a comedy, cheerleading movie, and I almost put it with the comedies, but it's a great sports movie. Like, there's some good competition in there, and it's also a bit of a romantic comedy, but I don't know, I used to be a cheerleader, so it really hits home for me, a lot of the jokes, and
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Perfect. My favorite was Warrior with Tom Hardy. I love that movie. It's a mixed martial arts movie, but it's also more of like a family drama, and like Nick Nolte in particular is probably the best actor in the entire. He gives a performance that just breaks my heart. Like, as this kind of like alcoholic dad who has gone sober and is trying to get back in touch with his kids, but his kids want nothing to do with him. Like, there's this soul crushing scene with Tom Hardy where like he's trying his hardest to win him over, and Tom Hardy's like, I don't need you anymore. Like, I needed this kind of father when I was 5. Like, I'm not, and it just breaks me every time. But it's also like a really good movie about like a mixed martial artist and this kind of like family drama, and the ending is one of the best endings of any sports film, hands down. My runner-ups, however, were Creed and Real Steel.
Huh, boxing. Same with
Yeah, I know. All of them are boxing movies
Yeah.
for some reason.
One of mine's boxing. My backup was Southpaw and
Good one.
Slapshot's the other one. Because
Cool.
I love Slapshot.
Slapshot, nice. My backups were Moneyball, which I did thoroughly enjoy, and Basketball, which you showed me, and I thought it was hilarious. And it's about basketball, baseball hybrid game that's created that's ridiculous. It's wonderful.
Oh, I love you. Always have.
All right, our last category. This is the most confusing one, I imagine. Documentary. I'll start this one off. So my favorite documentary is Wrinkles the Clown.
Oh, terrifying! Why?
But here's the thing. It's a terrifying movie about a clown that gets hired to scare the crap out of children. But it does something in the third act, which I won't reveal, that completely flips the entire thing on its head, and is more of like a critique of genre, the genre itself of documentary, and about how like you can't really trust everything that you see just because it's a documentary. You can't say that like, you know, maybe they take some liberties or like they leave certain things out, and it's really, really good. I just love that kind of meta-analysis of the genre, and they took kind of what started off as like this creepy documentary about some sicko that dresses up in a clown outfit and scares people, and they did something more with it, and I love it. It's a lot deeper than it appears. So, what about you guys?
Don't Look Back, D.A. Pennebaker, documentary on Bob Dylan. It's a really good one. It's not too deep. I think there's a little bit in there about image and portrayal in the mass media. But yeah, I like what it is, like what it spans, and yeah, not the biggest documentary fan, but yeah.
I've seen a ton of documentaries, a lot on Netflix, a lot I put on just to put something on to watch it. But I have to say, one of my favorites, the Fire Festival documentary.
Oh my gosh, yes, I guess.
Like, I was on the edge of my seat. Like, I was yelling at the TV. Like, I've never been more involved watching a documentary than watching that documentary.
Yeah, that was a clusterfuck of
Oh my
all kinds
gosh.
of things.
It was wonderfully horrific. And if I could go back and watch it for the first time again, oh, I would. That's
All right.
great.
We're gonna go through our runner-ups for documentary. Mine was Free Solo, a film about a guy who climbs mountains without any harnesses, and it's insane. It's nerve-wracking. I was biting my nails the entire movie. And I also had American Movie, which is a documentary about making movies, which speaks to myself, and My Octopus Teacher, which is a heartbreaking documentary about a guy who befriends a little octopus and watches it go through its entire lifespan and learns about life in general. So what about you guys?
Man on a Wire is definitely up there for
that's a
me.
good one.
I really do like it, and I had another one. I really liked American Movie. Also,
Yeah.
that one for me really stands out. Yeah, I can't remember the other choice that I was thinking of. Whatever, it happens.
Yeah, what about you, Jamara? Any runner-ups for documentary?
Like, I've seen so many documentaries, and I was trying to rack my brain, but like I couldn't think of any. You know this one, Tad, the one about voice actors.
Oh yeah, I know that voice.
I know that voice. That was really eye-opening to me
Yeah.
because I didn't know a lot about voice acting, and so that was a really cool peek behind the curtain, if you will.
Oh, I forgot about that one. That one might be up there on one of my favorites too. I
Mhm.
love that.
Don't Fuck with Cats. That's the one I was trying to remember,
man.
What I forgot about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Never
a
saw
series.
it.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
advised not to.
Yeah.
It'll mess you up a little bit.
That
but,
one.
Yeah.
I'm glad they caught that sucker.
Right.
Oh man.
But regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one really was up there for me. And what was the Night Stalker one you also watched? That was really good. The documentary on Netflix, the doc series.
Oh yeah, it was a documentary series. Yeah,
Yeah.
Night Stalker.
I enjoyed that more than you did,
Was
I
it
think.
Night Stalker?
Something
Yeah,
like that.
I think it was Night Stalker. I'm thinking of Nightcrawler. It was Night Stalker. Yeah, it was good.
Nightcrawler, also a good film.
Also a good film. Jack Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Jack Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal.
All right, folks. That's our list of movies. Thank you for watching and checking it out, and hopefully we give you some good recommendations, and maybe you'll check out some of these films. If you did, by all means, leave a message in the comments or
Yeah.
tell us about it, whether you thought about them. And check out Vent. It's available for rental right now. It's a film that we all work near and dear. Also check out 44 Caliber. It's available for purchase on orchatfilmproductions.com. And keep a lookout because we're going to be making some more movies, and there's going to be some news coming up in the future. And,
Yeah.
anything else you guys want to say before we call it a day?
Stay tuned. Check us out on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on our website, Orange Hat Film Productions. And yeah, keep your eyes peeled for new stuff.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun. Let's go.
All right. Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.